I don't know if you've heard about eBay's little foray into offline shopping. Have you heard about this?
No, what's this?
They've brought out something which, I don't know if this is the actual name of it, but publications are calling it the Magic Mirror. There's a shop that's opened up in San Francisco called Rebecca Minkoff. And,
Minkoff?
Yeah. What I'm getting from the little trailer and from everything really about it is that this is for very, very wealthy people. But basically there are these mirrors on the walls in the shop, and this is eBay's new device. And so you walk into the... I think the mirrors are in the fitting room, sorry. So you walk into the fitting room and you've got like a blouse or something that you want to try on. You try it on and the mirror will say, why don't you try this with it? That'll match with it. So it gives you suggestions, which I think really means that this company here paid the most money, so I'm going to suggest that you buy this one. And then you sort of swipe through and choose which one, and in order to have it delivered to the fitting room that you're in, you put in your phone number and it'll text you when the thing is ready, which to me seems like completely redundant data collection.
But now they have my phone number.
I don't understand why they would need your phone number. It's like, aren't we in the same shop? Can't they do it via an app or something like that? So can't you say which dressing room you're in?
So you're basically browsing racks of clothes, but on
virtual racks of
clothes.
On
an iPad, basically.
Well, on a big mirror, yeah.
And then they go, hey, you might want to accessorize using some of these. And then you go, yeah, all right, then I'll try it on.
Yeah.
But you don't have it in your hands and you don't have a woman. You go, can I go and try it on, please? They go, just put in your phone number here and we'll text you. And then what do you do?
Well, it says here, I'll read it out. It says, if you see something you like, you tap in your phone number and you'll get a text when it's ready to try on. Which again seems redundant. Can't they just knock on the door and say, here you go, madam.
Yeah.
Here are your shoes that you wanted to try on. So that's weird. And also apparently via the CCTV, and I'll find this in the article so I don't get it wrong. Camera. The stores are also equipped with cameras that are able to track individual shoppers through the store. Is that not creepy as fuck?
That's very creepy.
It says, by observing shopper behaviour, store managers can tweak everything from layout and display to price, mimicking the kind of A/B testing and analytics commonplace on e-commerce websites. So basically, when you come, the idea, it's a bit like Minority Report, isn't it? It's like the idea is that when you come through the door, they've got a face tracking thing where they recognise who you are, and based on that, they can advertise things that they think you're more likely to buy.
I find that creepy.
I find all this really creepy, yeah. I mean, this is on Wired.com, this article, and it's really positive about it, and like, this is the future, and eBay are going offline.
But why does it need to be the future? I'm quite happy with how it is now. If I want a pair of jeans, I can just go and pick up the jeans, pop them on, and go, they seem alright.
This is what we were talking about during the Ferguson section, is that it's alright now for us, like we're perfectly happy with the way it is, the everyday normal person. Some people aren't, some disenfranchised poor people are very unhappy with it, but that doesn't make any difference. What makes a difference is that some people really like money, an unhealthy amount, and they stand to profit from this. So
massively.
That's what it's for, clearly. It's not really for us, is it? It's for them.
Everybody I've ever met has at some point been shopping.
Yeah.
If we then have individual cameras following us and they know what we've bought in the past and thus know what they can target at us.
Yeah.
It's like on the internet how you get adverts for things that you've recently looked at.
Yeah, like targeted advertising.
That's the very, very base of it. But even that's slightly disgusting in a way.
Yeah, I mean,
and this is gonna do exactly the same thing.
There was a whole NSA thing where everyone was up in arms when it turned out that America is basically spying on everyone, and it's come out recently that apparently Google worked for the American government or something like that, which is insane. Actually, I'll see if I can find an article on that, because that'd be quite good to talk about.
They work for the American government?
Something like that. Let me see. American government. I can't find it. I'll try and look for it as we talk. But, I mean, basically, like, people are becoming more and more savvy to the idea that our data is being collected and used regardless of what we want to make profit. But it's also happening more and more, and it seems as though we don't really have much of a recourse.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. We have little to no recourse in what's happening around us.
Yeah.
We either have to accept it or just get a bit annoyed about it. And at some point, that annoyance boils over.
Well, it was like in that clip in the Ferguson segment, the clip of Russell Brand where he's saying you have two options. You can either shut up or protest. And I don't like the idea of going out and protesting because it's effort. And it'd be a little bit, ooh. But you can see where that point of view comes from. Like, what else can you do other than get angry about it? What else can you do? You have to sort of like it or lump it. And I think at a certain point we're going to have to lump it before it kills us.
I'm not a fan of this at all. I don't like the idea. I don't
really like the idea either.
I can't see positives from this.
Yeah, again, like, it would be a very slight boost in convenience, but for the everyday person...
But only very slightly. Then it's, I've got to tap it, I've not got the text, I've entered the wrong text in the app. Then I'm talking to the woman who's going, I don't actually usually talk to people. What's wrong with the app? I don't have it. And what happens, what happens if I don't have it? What happens if I don't want a phone? What happens if I don't want to pay by
then you can't use it.
What happens if I don't want to pay by mobile wallet and PayPal and this? What if I actually want to use money, cash?
That's an interesting point.
Then you're just cutting off a huge part of the market, surely.
Well, you can look at it from the other way, and the other way of looking at it is that they're having ultimate control over the market. Because what is it that we want the most? What is the one trinket and gadget that our culture wants the most? It's a mobile phone. Like, we all need phones. We love phones. Phones are like, particularly an iPhone, it's like the ultimate thing to have. And it's also something that is widely accessible. Everyone can have one almost. And when it gets to the point where you need one of those to shop, then, again, we were talking earlier in the previous segment about capitalism being an ideology, and you're ostracized from capitalism if you don't believe in it. And this is just more of that. Like, it'll get to the point where if you don't buy in and if you don't have the latest phone, then you just can't buy shit, and that would be a terrible state of affairs. I don't want to need to have an iPhone in order to buy, like, groceries.
Yeah, exactly. You're cornering a huge part. It's just
it'd be a you would need to be giving Apple or Samsung or whatever a certain amount of profit, and also all of your information and data, in order to exist within the society. And people always went on in like people talked about George Orwell and all that, and people talked about how we're going to be chipped and stuff like that. But it's actually much more subtle than that. We already have the chips, and they're called phones. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like to happen. And it's fucked up.
You carry your phone on you everywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely everywhere. And what's it full of? Chips. It's the same thing.
It's weird. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all, and yet nobody knows it really. If you bring in a thing saying we are going to microchip you behind the ear, people will be like, that's deplorable. What about our, privacy? And yet you'll carry a phone in your pocket 24/7. But the reason you do that is because it helps you. It's better to have.
That's not the reason we do it. The reason we do it is because we've been hypnotized by adverts to think that we want to do it. I hate to sound all conspiracy theory about it and sound like a tinfoil hat wearing nut job, but when you watch the adverts for like iPhones and for Samsung and stuff like that, they show you all this completely unrelated imagery that makes you really happy, and then they flash the logo on the screen to make you associate it with Samsung or with iPhone or whatever it happens to be. I mean, there are a lot of very well studied principles of psychology that advertisers use to
of course,
trick people into thinking that they want certain products.
But that's how businesses work now. Even like supermarkets. Yeah,
it's also how democracy works. Like in America, the party who gets elected, since the beginning of America, has always been the party who spent the most on their campaign.
Yeah.
which is fucked up. So basically it's like saying, you know, whoever advertises the most, whoever hypnotizes people more aggressively is going to win. It's fucked up. It's weird.
It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
And we live in a society now where to try and escape that is to your detriment, if that makes sense, or to how you feel. Yeah, to how you feel that you won't be a part of society. You won't be able to communicate as well. You won't be able to use all the fun, interesting, and often easier like apps and things that everybody else uses. You feel like you will be less of a person, if that makes sense.
Well, it's such an intrinsic part of our social fabric that nobody wants to let it go because nobody wants to feel ostracised. And it's almost as if the system is doing the ostracizing for us. Like if I just left capitalism now and said, I'm going to give up all my material possessions, like eyebrows would be raised, but people would still love me as a person, I would imagine. But that's not where the ostracization lies. The thing that I would be ostracized from is the system itself. Like the phones that we use, the internet, all of this stuff. If I didn't have all of that stuff, then I wouldn't properly be a member of this culture. And that's not a good state of affairs to be in. We need to really have a culture where, in order to be a member of the culture, you just have to show up. But that's not the case. In order to be a member of the culture, you have to really buy into it, and you have to buy all the trinkets, and you have to worship all the gods that we have, like money and profit and materialism. You know, there's no real recourse if you don't want all of that stuff. You sort of have to have it, and it's becoming more and more the case.
We need to bring about change.
What, you and I?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm a bit busy.
Well, I've got a podcast to do, but after that, then I'm done.
Well, after the podcast, I might write down some bullet points and think about it. But
I'll tweet them out, and if I get enough RTs, then I'll.
The thing is, after this, I've got to do another podcast next week. It's this podcast, so I'm going. My hands are tied up.
And then it's Christmas, so.
Yeah, Christmas.
Can't do anything over Christmas, can I?
Yeah. I found the Google thing, by the way.
Hit me.
So apparently, Julian Assange says that he had a meeting with Google and some US heads of state or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. But he's like 99% sure that Google is working for the American government. Because in the board meeting that Julian Assange attended in 2011 with the presidents of Google, it was also attended by all sorts of people from the US State Department. Like 3/4 of the people in the room were representatives of the US State Department, and only 1/4 of the people in the room were from Google.
Jesus.
He says that the company provides the FBI and the CIA with unfettered access to users' correspondence, which, I mean, people have been wondering for the past few years, why is Google collecting so much data? And the answer has been, because they use it to advertise with. But it looks like, if Julian Assange is right, it looks like they're also giving it to the American government.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah. I mean, I can't envision a world where I stop using Google.
Yeah. And this is exactly what I'm saying. Like iPhones, it's now, like you say, such a part of the social fabric of life.
Yeah. It's like the things that we really rely on and that are really intrinsic to our culture
are fucking us.
Yeah, the hands of capitalism, the scaly tentacles of capitalism have sort of latched onto those things and in very clever, subtle ways subverted them to use them against us. Which is weird. I mean, the thing is, I don't usually talk about all this shit. I'm not one for Google conspiracy theories. I don't really care about all this shit.
Don't Google it.
It's come to the point where it's so undeniable. It's freaky. You know, it's coming to a head.
Ugh.
It's fucked up.
It's really fucked up.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that at some point revolution is inevitable, and like, I wonder how that would manifest itself. I wonder what exactly would happen.
I don't know. It won't be like anything we've ever seen before.
Particularly because the American government, who is really the figurehead of all this shit, well, I suppose American big business is the figurehead. It's so well armed. Like we were talking earlier about how since 1997, $4.3 billion has been spent militarizing the American police forces. So what can you do? I mean, Ferguson was an example of that, where, yeah, people can loot and riot, but you can't really direct that anger against the government. You can direct it against small businesses that don't really care, but once you punch a police officer in the face, you'll get shot.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
You're out there.
So I wonder what needs to happen. I think it's an ideological shift needs to happen, where we abandon these. We first need to recognise that we hold these beliefs, because we think of ourselves as this secular atheist society, and we're not. We need to recognise that we have certain irrational beliefs and certain, we have these deities. We don't think of them as deities, but it's an analogous sort of thing. And then we need to abandon them and move on to something that is intentional, and, we need to have a mythology that we know isn't real. Because the problem with the mythology that we have at the minute is that we don't know that it's not real. We believe in it.
It's going to take a hell of a journey to get there.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to come to a head one day.
Probably in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Hopefully in our lifetime, otherwise I've got fucking 60 years to plod on like this.
Yeah. I want to be dead by 28.
No.
Otherwise I'd be very annoyed.
I don't.
You don't?
No. Not for me, death. I don't think. Not yet.
What are you just not going to...
I probably won't. I'll probably just skip it.
Just go on forever.
Oh, that would be worse. That would be terrible.
Yeah. Death is good, though. It's like the end point of...
Yeah, exactly.
It's the punctuation of the sentence, isn't it? It's the exclamation mark. Yeah, are you punching your laptop?
Yeah.
Don't do that. You need that laptop to buy things.
I need it to be a part of society.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, we've knocked it out of the park again. It's been nice to do it on Skype. It's been interesting.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I will. I'll message you on Skype, and you can suck my dick.
Okay.
See you later. Take care, my love.
See you in a little while, baby.
You can say, I think you should have the sort of sign off.
Okay. But no, that's not good enough. I just spoke over it. You lose. I win.
Shit. See you later.
Adios.